Welcome to the 22nd edition of Coffee with Coach Caffey, and today we're going to talk about my first head coaching job at Lubbock Christian High School, and it was a great time for me, and it was also some difficult times. I grew more probably during that first year of coaching at Lubbock Christian than any other year of my coaching career, and it was, I took over a struggling program again. There was some, dissension among the parents and the coaches, and so, it was a thing where I had to calm the waters when I went in there, and I was just a pup. I had so much talent at Lubbock Christian High School, especially my second year, that we developed a lot of that talent too, but I should have won the state championship there, and that's one of those things you go back. If you could do something different, I'd have probably run 45 down on the goal line against Fort Worth Country Day, and we would have won the game. But I'll get back to that in a minute. James. I know I probably have mentioned this before, but I really, James over the years has really given me a lot of comfort. The book of James, and in chapter 1, verse 2 says, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith develops perseverance. Perseverance must finish its work so that you may become mature and complete, not lacking anything. If any of you lacks wisdom, he should ask God, who gives generously to all, without finding fault, and it will be given to him. But when he asks, he must believe and not doubt, because he who doubts is like waves of the sea." Well, if this was a movie about my life, it would start probably that first year I was coaching at Lubbock Christian, and we went to Wichita Falls and got beat by Wichita Falls and Notre Dame. And after that game, I was in a dark place. I never have ever been that distraught. And I was to the point of tears, and I didn't want the team to see me after the game. I shook hands. I walked out in the middle of the field, and I guess I stood out there about 30 minutes or so after the game, all by myself. And finally, Coach Price maybe and Coach Bean came out there and talked to me and got me to come off the field. But I was really sad. I thought, I wanted to do this. I wanted to be a head football coach, and I'm just not winning any games, and so I was really upset that night. And I think, two things happened out of that. One is I had to decide that I was going to straighten up and not be defeated. And I was going to make something out of this team and my career. And the other thing is that I think it impressed my reaction impressed upon the kids how much this mattered to me, that we have a good team and that they play well. So anyway, I didn't ride back on the bus that night. I rode back in the equipment van, and when we got back, I became more resolved to be successful, and so that year was fairly successful. We didn't make the playoffs, but we did win a few games, and then the next year was the year that we went to the state championship game, and like I said, we had worked really hard. We had a great off-season program. We put our kids through lifting and jumping and put all of our athletes did the same thing, and Coach Price was the athletic director, and he allowed me just to set that up the way I wanted to do it. And so we did a lot of jumping rope, and we tested on that, and we put them through a really good weight program, and we wrestled a little bit, and so we had a really good track team that spring, and finished second. Our team finished second at the TAP State track meet. And then, as we got ready to start football for my second year there, I had a couple of players leave, and over, maybe some personality conflicts, and it wasn't necessarily me, but I had one go to Fort Worth, and the other one went to Andrews. And so, like I said, there was some troubled waters there. And so, but on the other hand, I had, a couple of kids move in, and one was Daniel Bristow, and he was an exceptional football player and a great track athlete. And he was unhappy going to school down at Forsan, and I had coached his older brother, and he came up to Lubbock to play for us, and he was quite a player, quite an athlete, and he still coaches to this day up in Louisiana. Well, excuse me. We had all across the board. We had great football players, and so we had Paul Haley at quarterback. He wasn't a real finesse kind of kid, but we ran a wishbone, and Paul could throw. He's the kind of kid that liked to chunk rocks and snowballs and everything else, and he could really throw, and he was good, good athlete. We had Wade Mahaney, who ended up going to Army, and he was our fullback. He didn't play football at Army, but man, he was a hoss. I always thought that Wade Mahaney, what made him so powerful is he mowed a lot of lawns with a push mower, and he just had those legs. Of course, we had Daniel Bristow at right halfback, and he was probably about 6'2" and 195 pounds, and just a powerful individual. And then we had Dusty Watts, who won the state championship in the 100 meters, ran 10.49 as the left halfback. Had Chad Bartee at wideout, who was he was a scrapper and go-getter. And we had John Chrisman, who was 6'3", 190, and ran a 4.640 at tight end. We had Big Brad Ellison, who probably weighed about 240 at strong tackle. And then we had Darren Hayes at left guard, and we had Scotty Scarborough at right guard, and I think we had John Staub, who was another move-in we had. I think he was the other offensive lineman, but it's been 40 years nearly, so it's hard for me to remember everybody. But we had an exceptionally talented team, and we stayed really healthy. And of course, our coaching staff was exceptional too. I was young and dumb. I didn't know how good I had it, but I had Darryl Price, who was a veteran college basketball coach, and he was our athletic director and coached receivers and defensive backs for me. I had Russell Bean there, who was a veteran coach and had a lot of experience. He was the defensive coordinator. Danzy Tabor and Gary Hicks were my other two coaches, and Danzy was a real mature guy that did a good job. And Gary Hicks was a former Odessa Permian guy and a great baseball coach. He's probably still coaching baseball. Well, anyway, I had a great coaching staff, had a lot of talent, and I had lots of ideas. There's things I wanted to do. I thought all these things. I was pretty impatient and really, quite honestly, might not have been ready to be a head football coach. But We didn't have a very good identity that first year, and so we struggled, even though we probably weren't quite ready to win big anyway. But we put them through a good off season, and that spring I took our coaches to the Air Force Academy, and I sat down. I got to sit in on the meetings with Ken Hatfield and Fisher DeBerry. Fisher DeBerry let me sit in his office, and we talked football about a lot of different things. For a good part of the afternoon, and we went out and watched them practice, and I still recall looking at those Air Force Academy running backs and thinking, man, these guys are playing Division I football. And I knew that they had Texas Tech on their schedule. So later on that spring, I went out and watched Texas Tech. And, just looking at Tech's athletes, I thought they would run them off the field. And I believe it was a home and home situation. And that year, Tech, maybe it was that year that I went out there that they were getting ready for it. Was Ken Hatfield was the head coach, and they were running the flex bone and were very wide open. I threw the ball a lot and ran play action passes, and Air Force Academy beat Texas Tech that year, and that's when I became hooked on the wishbone option football. And that's what we did at Lubbock Christian High School. Is we took what we saw. We kind of tried to water it down a little bit. We felt like that we might not be able to read the option, which was a mistake. And so we just called it. And so we just got better and better as the year went by. And we beat Dallas Christian in the semifinals, and then we got beat by Fort Worth Country Day in the finals, and that was an interesting game. We had the ball on Fort Worth Country Day's 1 yard line, and I still can remember Daniel Bristow coming out of the huddle and signaling to me. At the time, I couldn't figure out what he was doing, but hindsight, you can figure it out. Well, he was signaling to me, run 45. That was his play, two-back lead play off the left side of the line. And so Wade Mahaney had just been tearing him up. I couldn't tackle him. So I just, I called the option dive to the left. We handed the ball to Mahaney. Their linebacker hit him right at the goal line. The ball popped into the end zone, then rolled back out, which many of the Lubbock Christian people think we scored on that play. But and they covered it on the 1 yard line, and we ended up losing the game 10-8. It was a windy day, weather was bad, and it was in Sweetwater, and that bowl, and so it was it was a game that you wish you could say, okay, I wish I had a do-over on that and I'd have given the ball to Bristow, because I don't know if they could have tackled that guy either, and I think he'd have walked in. So, like many things, you look back on your life and think, I wish I'd done this a little bit different or that. And the old saying is hindsight's 20/20. But also, the things that I learned while coaching there, and I became more mature. We went through some trials. It was a financially difficult time for my family. We had 3 little children, and my wife was staying home with them, and I don't guess we've ever been more poor than we were. But thank goodness we had some generous people there that helped us out a little bit. And I still remember coming in at Christmas time and checking my mailbox, and there was the envelope in there that said Stan Caffey on it. So I opened it up, and inside that envelope was a $100 bill. Ooh, man, that was a welcome sight, you know. And to this day, I don't know who it was, and I appreciate whoever did that, you know. But there were other generous people that helped us get through that struggling time. I think I made $15,000 a year there, and so it was, you know, $100 was a lot of money. But you know, that's the closest I ever came to winning a state championship, and you know, I think my experience there helped me get the job in Arkansas, and then you know, I think that these young men, they left a lasting impression on me. You can tell, because I can still remember every guy from back in those days and what they did, and they've all gone on to be great successes. I love my time there, and I love those guys, and I love the people there. I can still remember Kathy Eggenbacher, the high school secretary. One day she said, Stan, when your kids get up in high school, you'll understand parents better. And she was right about that. I tell you, you have your own kids invested in a program, you really don't understand the passion that people have. And so if you want to get in touch with me, my email account is stcaffey@hotmail.com. And today I have a coffee cup that was given to me by Andrew Long, who played quarterback for us at Westbury Christian. I ended up going to the Air Force Academy and became a pilot. And Andrew was a winner. He was determined. He was not the best of athletes, but boy, he was a hard worker. And I was really honored when he came back from his visit to the Air Force Academy and he brought this coffee mug to me, because he knew I may have prompted him to bring this coffee mug back to, but I really appreciate it. Andrew, you're a good dude. Well, I'll see you next week. God bless you. Bye.